Oh boy, here he goes making all that ruckus. It's what he does in his pastime. He makes the best noises. Well, we'll let a few gather around this great little fire we've created here tonight,
There you go.
and then we'll give you the proper introduction that you need, which everybody will already know you. You're probably used to that, Mister Big Shot.
Oh, whatever. As if.
What is up? We got JC in the house. Jesus Christ, good to see you, my friend. Not a sponsor. Hello. We got the gang here. Ground Fog, what is up?
Do we want some ambiance zooks in the background or no? I can make that happen.
Well, we'll hold
Your
up
call.
for we'll hold up for here in a minute and just see where this evening takes us.
Perfect.
Micah says hello, Sassy. Thanks for being here. Did you get your Sealy code fixed, Fox? I sure did. The Sealy code is now fixed, but it is only for the SR S8, but to be continued on that. So that will get you 15% off though. It works on Amazon and their website directly. So, but yeah, we'll let some folks pile up in here, and maybe we can talk some gear and guns. And you've got actually a new piece that I'm kind of curious about, Yuckin.
Which noggin protector?
Yeah, your old noggin protector there.
Yeah, I don't think it's something I can keep. But this is the Bastion by Ballistic Armor Co. Lightest, most comfortable tactical boy helmet I've ever fondled, ever.
It looks like pretty lightweight the way you're throwing it around there. Pretty comfy. Looks of high quality. Micah Davenport, what is up? Demon Dawn, Demon Dawn.
Sis went to talk to him again. He goes, "Sissy, I just got busted."
I'm live right now, so.
I just wanted to let you know.
I want to
So
know
who got busted? The baby got busted? Oh, I just got busted, he says.
That can go.
So,
tell me the story.
I'm gonna hand the better half the mic. She's gonna tell the story. Come on. Well, now everyone's curious now. Come on. You don't got to be on camera. Just hold the mic and tell the story. This is a good one. All right, here we go, fellas.
Let's hear it.
So I was walking past the kids' room. The middle one was out of bed. And when he saw me, he jumps back into bed. And so I get onto him. I say, "Dude, don't leave your bed again. It's time to sleep." So I go to leave, and Sister starts talking to him again. And he goes, "Sissy, I just got busted."
Yeah.
I just got busted. Basically that's letting Sissy know don't do it. I got busted. You better not try this.
He's starting that red-blooded redneck American lifestyle early.
Well, you got to, bro. You got to.
Anyway, but yeah, so this is the Bastion. It's one of their newer, I believe, one of their newer models, and they're kind of pushing it right now. This thing is stupid comfortable, right? And you'll note that it doesn't come down as far on the back as a lot of your traditional helmets that are kind of what's the model? It's not the Mitch 2000. That always comes to mind. It kind of dates me a little bit, but the more modern tactical helmets, they don't come down quite as far. And I may go grab another one for comparison here.
It's not just wearing the back of your head out.
Right. And the cool thing is you can sit prone in this comfortably, which is key. I mean, that's huge, because it's not digging into the back of your neck and like,
Right.
Because, you put nods on there, some batteries, whatever else. This thing's heavy. It's going to compress the cushion, which is what I was going to show you. This is like that memory foam stuff.
Right.
It is
look at that.
Stupid comfortable. I mean, it just forms to your head perfectly.
That's great. My Team Windy It sucks. It sucks after 30 minutes. You're basically sucking it up for hours.
Yep. Team
What's the
Wendy's,
what's the price tag on those?
1,000 pesos
I mean,
worth every penny.
yeah, that's cheaper than a lot of its competitor Team Wendy's. They're 1,300, 1,400. So
Well, and the thing is it's a level 3A. So, and this is kind of where I'm at with a lot of this ballistic helmet and armor testing stuff is everyone wants to shoot it. Here's the reality of the situation. If it's a certified piece of kit or armor, it's going to be fine. We've got that figured out now.
yeah,
I like the fact that it's got M-Lock as well, which several people have said, oh, yeah, good luck finding an adapter for your ear pro, this and that. And okay, so I said, all right, fair enough. I don't know what's out there. So I went and looked, and in about 11 seconds of goggling, I found about 30 different options. So
yeah, I mean, that stuff's pretty common, and it's been out for years now, so it's not going to be complicated to find.
Nope. I like M-Lock over the rail systems of the more traditional
I kind of do too. Gives you what's up, Prepared Father? Thanks for stopping in, bro. So let's do this right here real fast, and then I've got questions for you. So
Oh boy.
kind of excited. But let's start with, for those of you that don't know that are just popping in here, what our guest, Everything Yuckin. It's actually Everything Yukon, but I'm from the South and I call him Yuckin. But tell the folks who you are. Obviously everybody that's in here now we know, but for future, tell us a little about your channel, bro.
So it's just a little bit of everything that I'm doing. A lot of gun stuff, a lot of mechanical stuff. I'm a diesel mechanic by trade and a gun enthusiast, firearms enthusiast. I've been through some classes and some training over the years, and I like to try to share what I can, what I'm comfortable sharing, knowledge-wise with the peoples. And it, covering the more basic stuff. There's a lot of people out there trying to cover more advanced skill sets, training, whatever, which is fine, right? Mm-hmm. But there's a huge demand for, hey, I'm 30 years old. I was formerly a homosexual man, but now I bought a gun and I don't know how to use it, right? Who's right. Taking care of, for lack of a better term, who's servicing those folks?
Certainly not the man that changes their oil.
Right. So yeah, that's kind of, that's sort of my target audience is the folks that just want good information on, okay, what works, what doesn't. What are some good habits to train? How do you avoid some training scars? How do you avoid shooting yourself in the ass cheek with a Blackhawk Serpa holster? Mm-hmm. The good core basics of responsible gun ownership. That's kind of where my gun content's geared towards. And then obviously there's some product reviews and things like that. That's all part of it, right? I'm trying to save you time and money, figuring out if like these Sileys are worth a darn, which clearly they are. Things like that. So
tell me a little bit about like what kind of got you into YouTube? Like, did you always want to do gun content, or was this just something you created on your own? Tell me a little bit, don't have to go through the whole history, but fill me in on your camera cameo. Have you always been on camera in some way or?
No, so years and years ago, I had a LubeTube channel, and I've actually had, I think this is the third channel now. The first couple did not end well, just not doing it right, basically violating community guidelines without even knowing it. And then I kind of popped off on TikTok years ago before it was, I guess, where all the kids go now, I guess. So I had a few million views on there and some, kind of got not big, but bigger than I am currently on LubeTube, on TikTok. So not always been on camera. I would say a fair amount of my adult life I have been, but not as a kid or anything like that. That doesn't really quite answer your question, but and I was doing some gun stuff early on with the other channels, and then kind of got away from it. Wasn't really sure how to approach it or what my niche was with that. And then now that I've sort of found that through the mentorship of other LubeTubers and things like that, I've kind of hit my stride a little bit with that, and you know, you're gonna blow up and surpass me. So just remember, folks, he's Foxtrotter 6 is gonna get massive, and then he'll be like, oh, look at you down there, yucking.
Yeah, yeah, right. You actually, what everyone needs to know watching this now and future is Yuckin has guided me through a lot of my early questions and really just been somebody that's so easy to talk to and helped a whole lot and just a good person to throw stuff at and see what his thoughts are on it. So no doubt. You definitely have your own thing going that's unique, and I think it's going to just continue to grow. You just hit 20, didn't you? Hey, that was cool.
Yeah,
Did you make it? You just hit 20K.
I did. Yeah, yep.
That's awesome,
Of
man.
course,
Well,
not stopping there. You know, my goal
oh
is
hell no, no.
10 million. You know, I'll be happy then.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the goal is to YouTube full time. So
Sure. Yeah.
so what has been like one of your most favorite thing about this YouTube journey, like everything Yukon channel? Like, has it been different than your other channels? But most importantly, what's been your favorite part of it thus far? Obviously, you're in the beginning stages.
Right. You know, I'm in the beginning stages, but I have enough actual good data now to kind of know what I want to do, where I want to go, where it's going to end up, hopefully, if I have anything to say about it.
Mhm.
And my most favorite thing, and this is going to sound trite, that's a good word. It's going to sound trite,
Right.
uh, maybe even a little bit crass. I don't give a shit. That's the thing is I don't have to give a shit. I do what I want.
Yeah.
You know, I make these videos with my opinion on things, right or wrong,
Mhm.
and that's it. That's I like the creativity of it. Excuse me. I like the freedom. Some time ago, this is not well known. Some of you guys might know this. I was actually a presenter for some primitive skills and stuff, and I self sabotaged on that, which I'm glad I did. And the reason I did is because they were basically telling me, yeah, it's going to be all scripted, and you're going to be propagating the ideology of the poor prairie dwellers, the poor Indians, and this and that, and people in 2025.
Ah,
Now it would have been 23 or
I
something,
got you.
22. Either way, I turned that down. Same reason that I enjoy my channel is I get to make the kind of content that I want. I get to review the stuff I want to review, and if something's no bueno, either I just don't talk about it and it's irrelevant, it doesn't get brought up, or if it's something that keeps getting pushed, I'll address it. Right? I have the freedom to do that, and I have the creativity, or rather, the creative freedom to make things the way I want, look a certain way, use the music I want, all these
Of
things.
course. Well, that's kind of what makes these channels work, and certainly, in my opinion, what makes YouTubers is the fact that you're dictating what you want to put out. Sure, if you want to advertise a product, you can do that, but at the end of the day, you're still
Sure.
being Yukon. You're still being Fox. You're you're being exactly what you want to be, really who we are, but also having fun and no one is telling me what to say as no one's telling you what to say. So,
Right. And you start getting into the more traditional media,
right.
or even like a contract, even on LoopTube, they're going to try to dictate what it is you're going to say and how you're
Oh,
going to
most
say it and
definitely.
why. And
Most definitely.
that's not creativity. That's enslavement, right?
Well,
Servitude.
right. Yeah, and I mean that's kind of the whole point in all of this is to get away from that, to get away from the 9 to 5 or working for the man or
Yep.
uh, at least with this you get the freedom to, I guess, somewhat say and do what you want.
Sure. Well, and the
So
cool thing it is too, having freedom. Just kind of touch on that more. Having freedom on LoopTube is almost an extension of what I'm fairly certain is your lifestyle and certainly mine. I run my own business. I have my own LoopTube channel. I'm moving progressively. The older I get, the more I realize how crazy people are. I'm moving further and further away from being in the circles of the norm, right? Being somebody
right.
who has to rely on people so much. It's no good. So,
No, it isn't good, and I think with that we certainly you and I have bonded and connected through a community and friends that we probably wouldn't have found without YouTube, you know?
Sure. Absolutely.
I mean, me and you wouldn't have ever met
No.
without YouTube. And so for everybody kind of joining in and jumping in here, Yukon and I think randomly had met through one of my live streams. I think it was maybe Run Gun or JC or somebody was in there, or maybe Yukon had popped in. But anyways, that was months back, and we've certainly got to know each other, talk guns, talk content, and meet other people in this community. But a lot of the reason why I brought Yukon on is we were talking on the phone earlier and yesterday, but he kind of brought up gear, tactical gear, chest rigs, ballistic vest, helmets. Um, let's talk about that. Let's dive into it, guys. If y'all have any questions, especially the people just now jumping in, if y'all have any questions about tactical gear, your opinions, don't be shy. No one here is going to judge you. If they are, one of the 6 fantastic moderators will kick their ass out. So feel free to ask questions, but let's start off with this. Yuckin, in your opinion, what's the first piece to a person's kit? Where do we start? Where do we start?
What is the starting point? What does this fella already have? Are they from zero to hero?
Well, I think that's a good question. You know, let's say he's got a pistol. So I kind of have an idea of where I would guide this person. You know, I mean, mindset's a good one, run gun. But let's talk about some pieces, you know, gear, what's worth it, what's not worth it. Do people need ballistic vests? Do people need chest rigs with plates in them? Let's start there.
Not starting out. No,
Yeah.
definitely not. I would say get your step one. It's simpler to start from total green hat, right?
Yeah.
So you're a green hat, you're not a gun guy, but you want to be because you've got reasons to be, right? Or you just have the interest.
Mhm.
And you've never shot a sidearm. Step one, go to your local range. There's usually a firearms instructor or a range boss or range master, whatever you want to call them there. They can say, hey, here's a Glick, here's a SIG, whatever. I don't care what handgun you choose. I don't care what Glick it is.
They're all
But
glicks.
pretty much, for dollar for dollar, right? Price per pound, you get
Right.
a lot with a Glick. You just do. It's a
It's just,
great choice.
of course.
They're inexpensive. They're reliable. Blah 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 blah. Down the list. So once you have that, you've shot it. You probably don't know what you're doing. Probably can't hit the broadside of a barn. Go purchase one. Now take that sidearm and go to a real pistol, like a pistol one, basic pistol class, not a concealed carry class. You're not even there yet. This is
Right.
the basics of how to reload, how to hold it, right? How to use the sights, how to safely hold it and manipulate it from, a compressed ready or a low ready to presentation to your holster, all these things. Take all
Right.
that knowledge you just learned, go home, practice it, do some dry fire drills, go out to the range when you can. And then if you want to start carrying, you're a little competent with it, you kind of know what you're doing, you've been practicing, go to your concealed carry class, get your permit. You might pick up a few things there, you may not. Depends on. And then continue. Obviously, this is a continuation. If you can, go to a pistol 2 class where they're going to teach you more. How to move at a high rate of speed and how to carry and point your pistol and shoot at different angles and all these different things. It gets involved and you can shoot faster and better and all these things. From there, okay, you've got your good EDC pistol. You're good to go there. You're continuing to train. You're looking at getting an AR.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let's stop. We're going to break this down. So if a feller goes out and he gets his pistol, and would you personally, because I know where I stand, would you say go ahead and get an iron or optic? Should he go ahead and get something that's optic cut or already has a red dot on it?
Absolutely get optic cut because you're going to end up wanting it. If you
Cool.
get the TISM, you're going to want it.
For sure.
So just
Cool.
spend
wanted
the
to
extra
make sure.
pesos up front and be done.
Cool. So a feller's gone out. He has safely figured out how to handle his pistol, taken pistol 1. Now he's working on a CCW, conceal and carry, weapons permit, whatever, and getting pretty proficient. I would like to add one thing before we jump into the AR. I would recommend this person start buying extra magazines. I
Oh,
think
sure.
obviously magazines, and obviously a holster's up there, but mags,
Holster is going to be
ammo,
required day one. You're
day
going to need
one.
that for your class. And the cool thing about these classes, like Pistol One class, is not
Mhm.
only are they going to teach you the basics of it, they're going to give you a list. You're going to need 4 mags. You're going to need a good holster with XYZ retention. You're going to need. They're going to give you a list of required stuff to get through the class. So you're going to basically have to go out and buy a starter kit. I kind of skimmed over that. I kind of forgot about all that. But
All good. And it's easy to do as long as we've been doing this. I forget
right,
some of the starter stuff. And
sure.
Run Gun made a really good point because I'm just as guilty as this. I shoot with irons maybe once a week, and I'm reminded of how shitty they are. Just like how when you get spoiled to a red dot, it makes iron sights seem really hard. And a lot of people get mad when you say that, but it's just the truth, guys. If you're not cheating in a gunfight to make yourself faster and better, you may not win. The other guy may, or the other person may. So, yeah, we covered magazine, holster. Now, obviously, get an optic cut. Now we got us a feller that's kind of itching. He sees the homies at the range with AR-15s. He sees, God forbid, an AK guy. What's what's
Second mortgage.
yeah, yeah. Or he just leaves and gives up. I don't want to be a part of this shit anymore.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you tell people when they ask for their first AR-15? Let's just start with brand.
So this is a tough one because
Mm-hmm. It is tough.
human human nature is always to, okay, well, they hear, oh yeah, you can get a PSA or a Delton or a what is it, a Bear Creek Armory or Arsenal
Yeah,
or what, like you can get all these cheap ones. It's $400, man. It's $400. Why don't you have an AR? And so that's what these fellas do.
of
And I'm going
course.
to go on to a little bit of a rant.
Yeah.
There's nothing, excuse me, there's nothing wrong with getting a cheap AR.
Mm-hmm.
There is something wrong with thinking that that cheap AR is going to make it through a rifle 1, 2, or more advanced class, because it won't.
No.
I guarantee it will not. I mean, I've seen really expensive ARs stumble,
Yeah.
and it's not because of one specific thing. It's because of 20 things, right?
Well, and this is the other thing I want to add is a lot of people also don't understand that if you buy a $400 AR-15 and a part breaks, chances are to replace it with a better part, you're better off just starting to invest in another gun. Like, you break the barrel, or you shoot the barrel out, or you break a catastrophic failure. You're better off just moving on. But anyways, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I mean, to your point there, your cheap AR Delton. I have got a Delton. I bought it to drop it.
Hmm.
Great example. One a 9 twist, poorly built.
Hmm.
Every aspect of it's just kind of subpar. If I went out and I actually practiced with that AR, I would probably have the barrel shot out of it in 6-8 months. Truthfully, I mean,
No,
it's just a cheap,
yeah,
barely enough to make it function. And they're not trying to build a fighting rifle. They're trying to build a cheap AR to put in the hands of somebody who wants to plink once every 6 months at trash, which is cool.
yeah, that could
Just
last somebody for 20 years.
sure, sure. But if you're getting serious about firearms and you're buying it as a defensive tool or a life-saving tool, you definitely don't want the El Cheapo. Save up your pesos,
Of
wait a
course.
couple 3 months, and get something good. What is something good? What's minimum viable? As our window cleaner friend always likes to say.
Yep.
Um, obviously, Daniel Defense is always a good go-to. I'm a big fan of Spike's Tactical. Spike's Tactical puts out some really good ARs. They're right up there with Knights Armament, Daniel Defense. They're very good, and they're a little bit cheaper, just a smidge, just a kiss cheaper than the Daniel Defenses. They're every bit as good. I have both. So Spike's Tactical, surprisingly, Alex Pro Firearms, APF. I've just been all kinds of impressed with their stuff. I always kind of thought of them as a no-name, cheaper brand, but they actually put out some pretty good, 1,200 to $1,600-$1,800 ARs that are good. They use good parts and they're well built. That's another option. So, but again, stay away from the Deltons, the Bear Fart, Wet Farts, whatever, the PSAs. What's
And I
Aero
want to add
Precisions?
something for everybody watching this now and future. It's not that like we're gun snobs. It's just we have spent the money and lost the money by going down this rabbit hole, past and present. I still do
Right.
this. I
There,
still use my hard-earned money to go out and buy cheaper guns just to
just to
remind
see.
myself, yeah, it's like, okay, $400. If it rule worst, it'll be my range gun that I cut up in a video later in life, and really the most important thing I learned from kind of coming from a bigger channel was like we were shooting 30 different guns a month, and you
Yeah.
really can go in blindfolded and grab a gun, and you do this too. You immediately can tell the quality. You just immediately.
A great example is I've got multiple ARs and AR-10s. I've got this one that was kind of a hermaphrodite. It's got a DPMS lower, a spikes upper, and it's one of my cheaper ones. It's the one that is in a lot of my videos, and I consider it kind of a cheaper gun. It's not really. It's got a very nice upper on it. That thing is freaking snappy and quick at it. You cannot outrun it.
Right.
I've never had an issue with it. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's been a couple little issues that were kind of me induced. The kind of, and where where I'm going with this. Yes,
yeah.
You can build an AR. Okay,
Right.
sure. But now you're learning a whole new autistic rabbit trail.
And mess.
Right. And you're gonna end up spending way more money because you're gonna want to build like 7 ARs, which is fine. Do that later. Get your skills down first, right? Learn how to use a thing properly first. And to do that, you need a good AR. That's just a fact. There's nothing wrong with having some cheap ARs to plink with. I do. I know you do, Fox. We all do.
Absolutely. For sure. And another thing I want to add, you mentioned a good one there by talking about building. I have so many people in the comments say, you could build one for that price. And it's like, okay, you're taking someone that has never really even shot an AR-15, and you expect them to be able to put a detent pin in and not lose it. You expect them to have a clean table and tools. I mean, it's a lot. It sounds simple for someone that's been doing this stuff for 15, 20, 30 years. Yeah.
Sure.
It's easy to tell a noob, well, they should buy a strip lower for $50 and put one together. It's like, well, yeah, but not everybody has that luxury. They could be raising kids. The most important thing is, hey man, get a complete gun, even if it's an upper and lower, and you can figure that out. But
well, to that note of the time thing, right? Raising kids, that made me think of something really good. So, okay, I'm going to be honest. We were talking about this on the phone. Most of our viewers are middle-aged fellas such as ourselves with kids,
right,
a job, and they've got 15 other things to do. We get, 60 seconds of their time. They're kind of gun guys. They want to be able to protect their families, be efficient, maybe not even proficient, just efficient or good enough with their sidearm and their AR, and that's it.
Of course.
You suck up all your little block of time you have set aside for practice and training with building an AR, clearing malfunctions on your cheap AR, and holding up the rest of the class you're in, and you've just sucked all your time up. There's no more time, and you haven't learned anything. Right. Well, at least not what you set out to learn. So.
Right. And to me, it's just like you said, it's more important getting the gun in your hand, getting the information, and actually getting bullets downrange. If you're sitting there waiting on a buffer spring, a detent pin, a trigger, it's like I know people that do this all the time that call me. You know how it is, Yukon. You're the gun guy of your local circle. Everybody calls you for the gun questions. I'm out here in the sticks and the boonies where we live. Everybody comes with me with their gun issues. And
gun questions and gun parts.
Absolutely, for sure. And it's like, guys, quit wasting time. Just buy the damn gun, buy it complete, and show up at my range, and let's start training. You don't have to send your gun off to get every nook and cranny, whether it be Cerakote and all that. Now, if you own other guns, sure, but I always see it's the new gun owners that want to go so waist deep into their new gun, and it's like, dude, you don't even know if this thing's going to hold up. Just shoot it the way it is, and let's see if it's reliable.
Right. And
Um,
you can kind of skip that point, the reliability point, to an extent. I mean, every firearm's
right,
different with a
of
more
course.
reputable brand. Another reason to go that route. Additionally, right, I would say, how do I put this? Some people are really good at doing taxes, and they need an AR to protect their house. Other guys like me, I'm a mechanic. I
Mhm.
fondle stuff all day. That's what I do. I'm good at
Right.
it. I don't even consider myself an AR builder, but I can slap them together, right? You take my tax guy, he's got an AR.
Hmm.
He has no clue how to put one together. He can shoot it
Yeah.
pretty good, but he can't put one together.
Yep.
I mean,
So
enough said there.
it's so funny you mentioned this because I was at a meeting 2 weeks ago, and my insurance guy was there, and a super great guy. Obviously, he knows me in the community and what I do. And after our meeting, he meets me outside and he's like, "Hey, Fox, I got a question for you." And it's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Can you come back to my truck?" And we looked, and he had an AR-15, and all he wanted to do was break it down and look in the barrel to see if anything was stuck in it. And that was fantastic because it's like this guy has went out, bought an AR, and it was a DPMS. It was pretty good first AR for back in the mid 2000s. Nothing wrong
Hmm,
with those for a firstie. And
sure.
man, he was just as happy as could be. But it kind of blew my mind that somebody had owned this gun for 15 years and never taken the pins out, never just cracked it open. And
Yep.
there's a lot of people like that go out and they panic buy, or they, during COVID time or whatever the hell's going on, they buy a gun. And then when everything starts to settle down, they just kind of tuck it back under the bed and forget about it. And guys, that's not cool because you know what? I swear on everything. You know what had happened whenever he asked me to take that gun apart, even when I cleared it? There was a bullet jammed in the barrel that had a light primer, had a light strike in it. But he knew something was wrong and it just rolled with it. Went out to the range one day, shot it, put it under the bed, and was always too embarrassed to mess with it. But it's
Well,
just,
kudos to him for being like, all right,
yeah,
I got to get it figured out. But
100%.
that's a great example, though. Not everyone is an uber super duper gun guy. What, are they just not allowed to protect themselves and their families? I mean, come on.
You're right. And this is a guy that has a very nice home, just like all of us. He's an American that has the right to defend his property, and bought a gun when times were weird, and shot it a few times. Said, "Oh, I'm good. I'm done. I don't need this anymore." And we can't do that.
Sure. He's an example of someone who probably kind of deviated from the roadmap that we're setting out there, that we're laying out of, get the firearm, get the training,
Mhm,
get the basics, and then get more training and build off of that.
mhm.
And obviously, like we mentioned earlier, all throughout this journey, be buying more magazines. When
Yep.
you can, my rule of thumb is 2 mags every time you go to the getting spot, right?
Yep.
Or if you can't afford it, 1 mag.
Mhm.
You'll find very, very quickly you'll build up a nice little collection. Buy a couple boxes of ammo, couple mags every time, and just start building it up. And if you don't shoot a crap ton, you're going to have a nice little stockpile that, yeah, when ammo goes up to triple its value, you can still go out and practice.
Right. And one of the most beautiful things about like P mags and good mags is they never like really go down in price. Sure, you'll catch sales on them, but like if you've
Mm,
got 50 mags in the plastic and you don't need them, and you because you got 1,000, they make great trading tools for other guns. I've traded mags for ammo. I've traded mags for forward grips, whatever it may be, just because we've been stockpiling them for so long. And especially during the kind of the bug time when no one wanted to order things online, you get mags and stuff like that. It's just huge. Hey, 2A Ninja, thank you, my friend. Everyone stop what you're doing and go follow a great dude, a great friend of me and Yuckins here, 2A Ninja. Great homie, super cool content too. Got some great stuff on his channel. Thank you for
he
that, 2A.
he's the real Mr. Beast.
Yeah, he really is, dude. 2A's just got it going on. He's got this vibe to him that you're happy you're on his channel. It's good stuff, man. It's good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep. Well, plus he
But
looks like Mr. Beast. So
yeah, he does. Micah Davenport, what's up, bro? Micah's a cool dude. Been here since the Coyote days, so super glad to have him. And thank you for that $10, my friend. That's huge, man. That's huge. But
Yeah, got to really get some more super chats in this live here, fellas. It's not going to me. It's going to Mr. Fox.
no way. Whenever you come to visit me here in the Ozark Mountains, we'll spend it all on fun times. Trust me. Dude, if you come down here and we get our chances on live streams here together and can do some content, oh my God, it'd be pretty good. So what we'll do here is we'll go back to some gun talk and noob stuff, but we'll give the people, the viewers here to ask some questions and stuff and kind of just
Sure.
check in. I did want to give a hello to Modern Frontiersman. He's a great homie too. Go follow him, guys. He's kind of got a homestead, former jarhead, or shall I say, still a jarhead. Shout out to Modern Frontiersman, though. Good guy. We'll go through here and just say hello to a few folks. But Louis Y. Barra, he's a good dude. Been here on the channel for a long time. So, not a sponsor. What is up, bro? Dude, you guys got to calm down on this shit. Y'all are great folks, man. Great people. Shed Owl, freaking love you, man. Not a sponsor. Great people. Let me get Shed Owl. Let me get him.
Blow them up, fellas. Give them all the super chats.
Man, he is the best. You guys are great. I seen a question up here, guys. Do you think dry firing helps a lot in improving skills in shooting? I know what Yuckin's going to say, but yes. Yukon, you want to?
What was I say?
Do you think dry firing helps a lot in improving skills in shooting?
Absolutely.
Well, how many times do you think you dry fire around your shop a day, Yuckin?
I don't know.
I mean, I know you're pacing the floors doing it at least twice a day, once a day minimum.
Oh, it's a lot more than that.
It's hard not to. I dry fire all day. My wife, they used to kick me out of the house years ago. Now it's just the animals and everything. It feels weird if there's no dry firing taking place.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It's quite a bit. I've picked it up more. I do it more now, and I'm structuring my days different to where I actually have a little bit of time to do that. I set aside time to dry fire practice and so forth. But
I'll kind of add on that Zieg Aro when you're dry firing. Don't just dry fire or whenever you pull and charge your pistol again. Ride your trigger back and start working on finding that wall and kind of your break, and that's what's really going to make you become a better shooter. Dry fire that way, and you will become a lot better. Find your wall, find your break, kind of find that slack. Wouldn't you say, Yuckin?
yeah, so
I dry fire 2+ times a day. More so with my Mantis Blackbeard. Ooh, yes. Not a sponsor. Thank you, my friend. He uses Nada uses the Mantis Blackbeard. I do have a homie that uses the F6 range here that swears by the Mantis. So if anybody has anything in that, please do let me know. And thank you, Nada. Thank you, Benjamin Brewer. You're too kind, my friend. Way too kind, guys. Have you ever used the Mantis, Yuckin?
yeah, I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of it. I'm probably going to go more the airsoft route, frankly. I'm actually just using snap caps, and there's a reason for that. For me personally, I'm not saying it's the right way. Snap caps are dummy rounds. Is I can load a whole mag of them.
Mm-hmm.
I have enough of them. I can load up even a couple mags, and I can stick those not in mags. Don't do that. You never want to be carrying around dummy rounds in a mag. I got a story about that later.
Okay.
But you could stick, like, for instance, where's my little filming bag?
Let me see. Darren asks, you think they'll make a 12 gauge that doubles as a fishing pole? Absolutely. It's called birdshot. Just blast the water, my friend. Everybody was yellow. I wanted to be yellow. Well, thank you, Benjamin. Modern, he is dry firing air day, of course. if I had more than 11 cents. Micah Davenport, thank you, bro. 5 more for catching all those critters. Hey, bro, I'm gonna send you. Need to send you a hide sometime soon, man. Got some pelts coming off here in a few months. Actually, it'll probably just be about another 4 weeks. I sent a lot off to my guy. Thank you,
So this is
bro.
what
Very
I
much.
do. I got a whole Ziploc baggie of different calibers and stuff. I've got a bunch of 9mm. I got 40. I got 223 in there. Just take
Okay.
this, throw it in your backpack or whatever for the day. Lunch break, load up a mag, dry fire practice. And like you were saying earlier, the reset of your trigger. So a good controlled, I wish I could have a sidearm on stream, but
I know
unfortunately not
it's
possible.
so hard to do this way.
Right. But so your reset, the control of your reset, I see a lot of folks doing this. The pad of your finger comes completely off the trigger. It's just hanging out in dead space. And then they're slapping the trigger when they come back to fire. They're trying to shoot fast. What they're actually doing is they're doing this. So when you close your index finger, if you watch the top of my hand, this whole portion, the strap of your hand moves. And when you're gripping something, you naturally, what do? You're not doing this, you're doing
Correct.
this naturally. You're naturally twisting inward, just ever so slightly. Well, at
That's
30 yards
that's why
with a
every
pistole, go ahead.
that's why every right-handed shooter shoots to the left, right?
100%. So your resets and then working on pressing, and then you chamber or eject your dummy around, and then you work on your reset. That is crucial. That's half of what I think you get out of dry fire practice is correct pressing of the trigger and then correct reset and mitigate that slap. And then of course you can go out and you can practice that. It'll help you shoot more accurately and faster in general. I kind of talked about that a little bit in a short video, but it's very, very important to dry fire practice because there's not enough ammo in the world to get out of bad childhood habits of, here, son, take this 270 and I just lined it up on a deer for you. And you're like,
Yeah.
there's not
It's
enough
just
ammo
an
in the world.
instinct. Someone asked a really good question to me the other day, and they noticed in a lot of our videos when we're shooting, our eyes are just like this. They don't blink, they don't go. And someone
Yep.
asked, do you ever get where you don't blink or you don't flinch? And absolutely. However, it is totally okay when you're shooting to close, after you shoot, your body's natural response is to blink or, close your eyes for a second. That's okay. Yeah, it was actually a shooter that I know now. It popped in my head, and I think that's a pretty good question because that's something a lot of people are afraid to ask. But yeah, don't be intimidated by that. That's not necessarily a bad habit, but the more you are shooting at the range and getting used to that snap, you'll notice your eyes start to relax a little more. That just comes in time. But just like what Yukon was saying, there really isn't enough ammo to really get you used to that first thump. I mean, I have scars and some pretty bigger guns that kick around that there's just some days I don't want to shoot them because I'm spoiled to my 223s or my Glocks. But yeah, for sure. Let's see. Hello from France. Awesome. Hey, JC, could you post a link to Yuckin's channel, please? Sassy was needing that. Sassy's been here, long-time channel supporter. Thanks, Sassy. But let's get Yuckin's link here to his channel.
Oh, you don't got to do that.
No. That's the least I can do. That helmet looks good. It looks cut. So tell me about that. You got any kind of discounts or anything we can use to get a better deal on that?
I don't. This was actually so this was sent out by a buddy, which I need to get you in touch with him. It's not even his outfit, not even his company. He has nothing really to do with them except for he's buddies with them. And they're like, hey, you got any lube tubers that want to just talk about a helmet and put it out there in the ether and get some eyeballs on it? And apparently his first choice was me. So I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's an honor because that helmet looks of high quality. And so tell me about, so it's got a spot for your Wilcox already in it. Plenty of, go back to what you were saying earlier and talk about your inserts on the sides, how they were going to be not I guess you'd say pick rail, but they're M-lock, correct?
Yeah, so they're an M-lock rail. I don't know if you can see that.
Yes, perfect.
So anything M-lock will
Just
go in
slide
there.
into it. Okay.
Yep. And I've heard people crying about, oh, well, it's kind of hard to get the twisty turnies in there. Well, just so you know, it's because you're a goof and you're doing it wrong. So when you
That's right.
put any M-lock attachment on, you get it in there, and you got to reach in there with an O-ring pick. 90-degree O-ring pick works perfectly. Rotate your pad, your locker, around to where it's perpendicular to the rail, and then you pull up on it as you're tightening it down, and you're good to go. That's the problem. Several people have said, oh, M-lock's fiddly. Well, it's because you're doing it wrong.
I can't think of anything better than M-lock because it gives you the option to either not have a pick rail on there for snag points or to
Yep.
put whatever attachment, whatever in the hell attachment you want, or whatever length of M-lock you would want. I mean, I think that's a great idea.
Right. And then for stuff like your white light that points up or whatever else, even like your ear pro and stuff like that, M-lock is so incredibly ubiquitous now. It's like these aux cables that I use. You can mix and match, and you can make anything work with anything almost. You just have to just Lego it together, basically. Whereas with the other system, which I forget what they call it, for the ear pro, it's I guess it's just inverted pick, right? There's a term for it.
Yeah.
That's a little less forgiving in terms of what you can put on there. You are limited. It's more bulky. It's more weight, etc. But also, I have an Arby's apron, so I'm going to wear that now. Actually,
please put that. I've got to change a few things as well. I have to move myself. Going to go to a quick question here. Enforce Huskers, Walther PDP Pro SD or Canic Meta SFT Pro. I'll be honest with you. If I was going to buy anything, I would buy the real deal, which would be the Walther, since the Canic is actually a Walther clone. But also, with that being said, me and Yuckin are probably terrible people to ask about that because we're both kind of Glick guys or Glick clones. Glocks are just kind of basic and they work. I own several Canics. I've owned every Walther and shot every Walther. And to be fair, those are some of the only two guns that are a little more ammo picky. I hope that answers your question. I think they're both. I think the Walther PDP. I was sent that gun on another channel, and it is an awesome gun and it shoots really good. But Black Diamond Josh, thanks for stopping in. For those of you that need another channel to follow, that's really good. Black Diamond is fantastic. He is part owner and one of the main guys at Fat Tack Holsters, which are fantastic holsters. So Black Diamond Josh, I will try to find you a link and post it on here. And he likes the PDP, so I would listen to what he has to say too. Anyways.
Welcome to Arby's. I'll take your order.
Dude, you're just my favorite, man. You're just freaking hilarious.
Well, I make myself laugh. That's,
Well, that's the whole purpose of this whole gloob tube thing is to make yourself laugh. Because if you're not, then it's probably not worth doing.
Right.
It has to be funny. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with serious YouTubers, but guns have had this like aurora, or what would you call it? They've had this I'm retarded, so I don't know what I'm saying, but guns have had this halo around them to where if you're going to talk about guns, it needs to be this serious, like you've either got to be a 20-year military guy or a cop or some sort of straight cut. But like even everybody in these comments, like, no, you don't. You can put it in normal lingo and terms, right? Stigma. Golly, thank you, Devin.
Yeah, so the Aurora Borealis around the gun community.
That's exactly right.
I can't get this pin back in this grenade here.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm grabbing a stogie. 1 second. Y'all can go with me. Check out these leopard. No, these are cheetah print shorts.
Nice.
I'll be right back. I'm grabbing a stove.
I may have to do one up. I am curious, just for geez.
I can hear you.
So I am curious if I just run just the phone mic, how that would sound. Can we try that real quick? Because I got this crazy setup. I was thinking, you know what? A stogie sounds pretty good. I might head outside and have one with you.
I'll wait on you while you do that too, and
I'm gonna.
check that out.
I can just unplug it quick, and you tell me if there's all kind of weird echo and whatnot here.
Okay. Modern Frontiers, I'm a total tard, and I know what half the gun talk on YouTube even means, and I'm a Marine. Yeah, modern nailed it right there. Like you said, some of this gun talk, I can't keep up with it, bro. Go ahead and say something, Yuckin.
Something yucking.
Oh, that's perfect.
No weird echo or nothing, huh?
No, hey, anybody, any weird echo from Yuckin? Tell them a story real quick. Speak pig Latin.
So the thing about the swine speak is this. I was talking to Fox, and I was like, "Yeah, I got to go get the something about the kids," and I mixed up all the words. Fun fact: so a lot of folks think that I am intentionally talking like a retard on my YouTube channel. The fact of the matter is, I am just a dumbass redneck. So when I stumble over words, part of the reason I say words wrong or use incorrect words is because I either cannot think of the correct word, and
Or
I've
that's
just
how we
given up
grew
years
up.
ago. Right. Like I heard it one way, so it's stuck. I can't think of the right word, and I've just given up even trying to figure it out. It's like whatever, you know. And then of course, you know, obviously I play into that a little bit because it's
Right.
fun. It's fun. It's fun to be a goof. It's fun to kind of just talk and you know have fun with the words. You know, if you're like in a Lutheran church every day, and I was like, "Behold, brethren, the Glick is the Lord's gun, and I say unto you, stop it." You know, like it's not interesting. No one cares. It's like no, you know.
Well, and I mean, you're a northern redneck and I'm a southern redneck, so it's really really funny because we probably, I don't know, I guess the people would have to tell us in the comments, but I would assume we have probably quite similar accents but completely opposite of one another. I don't know.
Yeah, like our accents are very different. That is for sure. But our verbiage, like, okay, what do you call the meal you eat at the end of the day?
Supper.
Supper. Same. What do you call like you can't think of the word of some mechanical, like if I said here's this bag of
Thingy-majiggy.
who's what's it? Same.
Who's he what's it? Thingamajig.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like same kind of stuff, just a
Yeah.
slightly different flavor. And that's just blue collar talk. That's just the way it is.
Hmm. Well, we grew up that way.
Yeah. You know, my padre was not he was not some kind of friggin' rich guy in a suit and tie, you know. I
No.
mean,
No,
he was
man.
working in sawmills and stuff, and yeah, he was you know, he was a pastor for a long time as well, as a matter of fact, a little known fact about me. Um, but he's always been a blue collar guy. I grew up working on a farm for shit's sake. I mean, there's not yeah.
We said the
Language
Lord's
is
name in
only
my
fun if you
house.
make it fun.
Yeah,
What's that?
we said the Lord's name in my house a lot, but it was usually in vain.
Right. Well, you know,
No, I'm just-
I I did. I did, and I have. I try not to. It's just one of
I'm,
those things. That's
I'm
the
messing
one
with you.
thing I don't like.
Mhm.
But I get it. That was a good joke. It's just usually it was in vain. No, I get
Yeah.
it.
So get yourself a stogie and let's light a stogie up and we'll light into this conversation a little more.
Let
Um,
me the outside there. I'll have to get a tripod and all that. I'm not taking
take
my apron.
take your time. I'll no, you better wear that apron. Take your time. I'll entertain. I'll entertain these people.
Oh, you're coming with me. You're coming
Well,
with me.
yeah, I
Take
thought. Well, I just didn't know if you had to grab tripod right now, but I see what you got.
I'll show
Blue
you.
collar day one. Lewis, thanks for being here, bro. Micah says we're all the same man. LOL. I thought we'd be different when I first started watching UConn, but we're almost exactly the same. Yeah, I think that's kind of the beauty of the community is deep down we're all just a bunch of well, we're what the liberals and the bad people and whoever else wants to call us gun nuts. We're just whack crazy. Do
We're all just a
liberals?
bunch of dumbasses that want to protect our families, eat good food, and enjoy life before we die.
Bingo, bango.
Check this out, little nerd moment for you here.
Oh, I know what that is. I thought it was an antenna, but I guess it
It,
does
it,
something more.
but this is a Wi-Fi, so this is a 2.4 gigahertz.
Oh, see, we don't. we moved past that here. We went to fiber optic now out here in the boonies.
Yeah, but this will take my FiWi, which
Mhm.
is my Starfart here,
Okay.
and 2 miles away, I can catch it with that.
Oh. So you're telling me that I could use my Wi-Fi that I have here with my little router box and go in my woods where I hunt and pick up on it?
Yep. Yep.
Okay,
Line
we
of
need to
sight,
talk.
2 miles. That's
Okay, we
friggin'
need
and
to talk.
it's yeah. So that's gonna go in the Chev. Yeah, long story. Yeah. There's a time and a place for it. I actually bought it to shoot Wi-Fi over to my shop that I was renting down the road from my house. So it's been
Beautiful.
mothballed since then, but the thing friggin' works.
Yes. Yeah, I've got to get on that. Yeah, and you're right, Micah. Fiber optic is a lifesaver. I'm gonna grab another stogie. I guess I. One second. I don't know if I like this Queen Victoria or whatever this is. Let's just do this. We'll let the viewers pick. God save the Queen. We're gonna let the audience pick my stogie because I don't know what I want. Normally, I would just take a cheapo depot.
Oh, we're gonna have
Lafayette.
to light up a little fire here. It's kind of nipply.
Dude, it's like I think it cooled off a little here, but nothing crazy. A
Believe me.
Romeo and Julieta. We're going with what we got. This is too much effort. All I know is Marlboro. Yeah, there ain't a thing wrong with that. 90s here in the next few days. Oh my gosh, Sassy. Getting warm on me. Yuckin, are you there?
Yep, I was just bleeding the main vein. I'm gonna show you
Oh, okay. No,
these
you're
balls say
good. I
something.
was just making sure your 2 mile, you didn't run 2 miles on me real quick and lose Wi Fi.
Now check this out.
See what you got, Bubba. Oh, that's a beaut, Clark. That's a beaut. I guess I could go out and look at the moon, see if we're looking at the same one.
Isn't that pretty friggin' sweet?
That's really freaking sweet. That's really sweet, brother. Have y'all still got snow on the ground up there?
Yeah. That's how it looks when you're not zoomed in.
That's nice.
Modern technology, I tell you, it's friggin' cool, man.
You still got snow on the ground up there?
Little bit. So about 1,000 feet up from where I'm at, I got some snow. I actually went up to my main shooting spot and I couldn't. It was just muddy, muddy, muddy. And then you go about another 400 feet up in elevation. There's still snow up there. So
Mm.
not quite melted off yet. Here at the house, we don't have any. We're just
Uh,
mud here now.
just mud. I'm gonna take my tripod and I'll step outside in a second too. We'll get to Abraham Lincoln on the zone. I'm going hunting for my first time soon, and I need a first gun. Sounds like a great opportunity to buy an AR-15. I guess it depends on what you're hunting, but that'd be a good spot to start. I mean, if you're going deer hunting, I've shot plenty of deer with an AR, ethically and good. But I guess if it is your first time, well, what's your budget? A few questions you could ask there. I'm hunting deer. Just get a 308, man. You can do bolt action 308. I wouldn't recommend getting an AR-10 because what gun did I use? What AR? I used it. I do depredation hunts for deer, so a lot of I use an HK MR556A1, and I smack deer with it all day. I'm gonna go search bolt action 308. Yeah, just look for a Savage or a Remington 700 or find a used one. If it's your first
You know,
one, don't break the bank.
first ever hunting rifle, look at the Ruger American Series. The Type
That's what.
2 or the Mark IIs,
Yep.
hard to beat.
Yep. Can't
They're
can't
not
really beat those.
they're not a showpiece, but for a bolt gun, modern machining is good enough now. They're plenty
Mhm.
accurate out to 500 yards. And they're cheap to get into.
The Ruger American.
Yep.
Just type in Ruger American 308, and you can't go wrong. step outside here and see the weather. I got my Christmas
We should see if we can both get the moons.
All right, let's do it. Let me turn on my lights here. We got storms and tornadoes coming tonight, so
Oh yeah.
mine's covered. I want to turn my camera around. Let's see here. Mine's hidden behind the trees, Bubba.
Oh geez.
Yeah. No yoon for me, you can.
Well, I've totally squirreled, so
Yeah,
we were
we're
talking
gonna.
about something productive.
Yeah, let me get my tripod and I'm gonna set it up, and we'll get back into some talking. This is the great part about doing a live, people. You're here for it all. All right. There we go. How many tripods can a tube viewer have, huh?
Well, I need to probably get a couple more myself. I need to get one of those tripods for gripping the rifle, clamping guns and optics into and stuff. That'll be super handy.
Yeah, 2A Ninja was talking about one of those the other day, and I kind of seen what he had there and thought, that may be a good idea. It was like $55, $54. So, let's see what's in the woods here. Hold on, I'm gonna grab my thermal.
Ooh, that'll be cool. Ruger American 308 scoped black bolt rifle, 22-inch. Is this one good? Yeah, that's right what I'm talking about. It's just a basic polymer stock. And I would avoid, if it comes with the scope, if you can save the pesos and not get a scope, I would go with an Arkin, or if you can find one, an older Vortex, a good used older Vortex. But a lot of times, if it comes with a scope, it's not very good. It's either one of the lower end models from a reputable company, or just a company you've never heard of. So I just get the bare gun and then get a scope, put it on it.
For sure. Very, very sound advice there. Is a scope easier? Yeah, for sure. Abraham, if you're asking some of these questions, one of the best pieces of advice I can give you, especially is when I started off new to hunting, I had a lot of really good people to teach me. You may find somebody like you look up to and maybe ask them. If it's somebody that hunts, get with them. But I would still stick with that Ruger American. That's going to be a solid choice. But yeah, talk to somebody that's a hunter and get some lessons on that. There's a whole lot to unravel there, but stick around on the channel. I do a whole lot of hunting stuff. Yuckin over here is good to ask for that. He hunts deer. He's a hunt to food kind of guy, so we can help you
Gotta
some
have
more
it.
on
Gotta
that.
have meat.
Yeah.
Well, and also another thing I didn't hear, if it was asked, what range are you hunting at? Are you brush hunting to where you're getting maybe 80 yards, or are you more out to 150, 200, 300 yards? That's going to matter too, what
Yes, it
scope you
is.
get and all that.
Yeah, a lot of things to unravel. Hell, you may be able to use a shotgun with buckshot or slugs if you're only hunting 40, 50 yards in the woods. And, here in the Ozark Mountains where I'm from, all of the first deer that I took was with a shotgun because, well, we're in a whole lot of woods. And now I have properties I hunt on with big fields so I can reach out more. But I seen
Right.
a guy on YouTube putting yellow tape on his optics. That guy's pretty good. Thanks, Luis. Appreciate you, brother. I don't know who that
I've,
idiot is, but
I've thought about doing that, Fox. Everyone's done it. It's just kind of like, bleh. I
yeah,
don't know.
I wanted to. I think the reason that I done it is because so many people were so weird about the point shooting that it was like, okay, you know what? this is really a way to show people that, like, at 5, 10, 12 yards, man, and what's funny about when you show people how to point shoot, they immediately just start creating these scenarios of like, well, what if you're at a loaded movie theater and there's 75 people behind you? And it's like, yeah, clearly I'm not going to just be ringing them out randomly if there's 75 people,
At
like
that point, you would take the tape off your dot. Yes.
bingo. I
Well,
may
and
even,
chances are, if it's at a movie theater, it's going to be total and complete chaos anyway. Confined space, a lot of people, standing room only,
yeah,
literally, when they're all up out of their seats. So that, the chances of getting a perfectly clean shot in that scenario, if you're going to take one and you're
yeah,
forced to take one, your chances are like maybe 2 in 100, you know,
exactly.
maybe.
Well,
So
it-
you're,
yeah. And what's funny, it's not really funny, but I think so many of these people that ask these questions, they could like do something that could solve a whole lot of their kind of like what ifs. And you know the answer to this, but they should go join a volunteer first responder community.
yep.
Go do a ride along with a police officer, or go to your fire department or volunteer fire department, and just hang around for a month on your days off of work or on the weekends. Just go get you a little some, and you will see how everything you can envision and these scenarios you create in your head, I can assure you, and you can ask Yuck and over here, we have both put a lot of times into the first responder community, and it's not what you think. None of it is.
No. And to further that, and this is something I would encourage for anybody, you said right along, made me think of it. If you can, if you've got the latitude in your life, obviously you can't have a criminal record, all these things, go look at your local sheriff's department and see if you can get on as a search and or
Yep.
a reservist deputy, because that's going to do two things. It's going to expose you to the reality of high stress situations and how people act and shootings and all these things. And it's going to get you some good training for most times
Yeah.
free.
Yeah.
It's going to set you up for success in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. Being a reserve, and everybody can say what they want about the cops and have your own feelings, but you have to look at it as a tool. Being a reserve deputy, dude, it's 8 hours a month. And honestly, most of those deputies in those departments will allow your first responder, your EMT, any medical to apply to that. So, like, your whole 8 hours a month may not have to be applied to just being a deputy. It could be a first responder, volunteer fire department. So, look into it, because just like what Yuckin said, dude, and one, you can train all you want. You can go to all these pistol courses, you can go to all these CPR classes, you can do all of these things, but until you get a little bit of that real life experience, that is what's going to really get those wheels turning. I don't think either one of us are saying go out and get hurt or go out and put
No,
yourself in
no.
dangerous situations. But it is a really good thing if you could just do some form. If you were going to own a gun and get serious about this stuff, and get serious about medical and really trying to help, yeah, go try it. Give it a try, and you're definitely not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt your skills.
Well, and it's really, really valuable to see how normal everyday folks act and respond to high stress, life threatening situations. You show up on a scene to a nasty extrication, body parts, dying people,
Yep.
dead people. I've seen seasoned firefighters. We've talked about this.
Oh
Just
yeah.
lose it, puking, just
Yep.
emotional. I've seen all of these different sides of it. And it's there's been some effect on me as well in the moment, because it's drastic. Like
Mhm.
it's otherworldly, right?
It is.
Um, it's a
Well,
it's a side of humanity most people don't get to see, and
right.
that's really what you're saying in the world when you pack a sidearm is, hey, I'm ready to step into that. Are you though? Are you
Yeah.
actually ready to step into that dark side of humanity?
Yeah, and so many people, they get on Tube Lube here, and they watch the movies, and they watch all this action packed stuff, and they love the holster life, they love their extended mag or their extra sweet pistol, but they don't realize that whenever you take that role on, and you're kind of taking an oath that, like, hey, look, when you put that on or you go with that sidearm, you need to be prepared and responsible for the outcomes of all the above. And just like what Yukon's saying here is being able to get out and see how a lot of the things that you're in the comfort of your own home, there's people out there doing shit you couldn't even imagine or dream of for mostly free. I mean, or pennies on
Yep.
the dollar, you know?
And there's there's sides of it too, and I'm sure you know this as well, Fox. There's you start if you're meant to do it right, you'll know
Oh,
very
for sure.
quickly if it's
Yeah. Yeah.
just like a
Yeah.
unparalleled outside of maybe the military and law enforcement and military, obviously, uh, a brotherhood. Like there's a
For
bond
sure.
between you and the guys on your crew or on your team or what have you. The guys
Yep.
you, for lack of a better term, and don't get this twisted, people in the chat, serve with, quote unquote. I'm not
Yep.
saying it's akin to the military, but you learn how to actually work as a team, right?
Oh,
It's a
for
lot
sure,
different
because
than when you go out on the flat range and the instructor's yelling, get
yes,
up, okay, now you gotta run." Like, it's not real, right?
of course.
You can
Yeah.
just kinda
Yeah.
half-ass it and move, But
Yeah.
when someone's like, "Okay, that person is literally hemorrhaging blood,
Yep.
they will die if
Yeah.
you don't move
But
your fat bum from A to B and save their life, apply a tourniquet, get them on the board, get them into the wee woo, and boom, they're gone."
yep.
You're in It's like, the adrenaline dump 5,000. Friggin'
Yep.
awesome.
So few people, and this isn't bragging at all. This is just giving everyone an insight and a perspective. Is so few people know what it's like to go down and pull people that either have a pulse or don't have a pulse and put them aside to go down the line. And you see a lot of this in training drills and on ranges where you have a target down and you're going over to pull them. Oh, we know that guy's alive. You've been set up. Versus if you're the first responders on either a car crash with multiple casualties and people, or God forbid, a mass shooting or whatever, yeah, dude, those are things where your breathing gets different, everything changes, and it's just nuts, dude. That we could go on a tangent on this and talk so deep on it, but it's it's a trip, man. It's a trip, and you kind of nailed it there. If you want to be a part of this stuff because, well, I've got 15 years in it and threatened to quit. I'll tell my wife, well, this is my last year. I think I'm going to take it off. And then, we get some new piece of equipment or some new helicopter or something that just keeps you in the mix. Mhm. Yeah. Well, and what's cool is a lot of these fire departments, back when I first joined, we had to go to an academy or, do like a 13 or 16-week course. But now even these volunteer departments, they will train you in house for free.
Yep.
Like they'll just straight up do it just for the hell of it if you kind of commit, and obviously you have to do a rookie program. But um yeah, and the cool part is it's the skills and the people in the community you meet. But
Heath, dude,
it is good.
did you finish your dart already or no?
No, I'm still smoking it. I had to come in because I'm in shorts and a t-shirt and it's getting nippy out there, so I've still got my dart.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I
I'm
was
just
going to grab
smoking
a
these little
jacket.
backwoods
Those
fishing
are the
cigars.
that's what I had a minute ago was the backwoods. That's normally what I smoke.
They're just cheap. They taste okay.
Hmm.
Once in a while, they're fun.
Oh yeah, I usually go with these little fellers out here.
Which ones are those? Oh,
Banana.
yeah. Yep.
Those are my
I like
go-tos.
I'll show you. I'll go grab them out of the service rig.
Sassy says do 20 Fox. I agree. That's kind of my goal. I've got this much into it and I get my lofty retirement out of it. So I gotta stay now. I'm in. I'm in for the 20. I can roll one hell of a backwood, especially a banana. Backwoods flavor is impeccable for sure. Few more years. That is correct, Sassy. It'll go by quick. Always does. What'd you get there, Yuckin?
Black Russian.
Oh, those are phenomenal.
Yeah, they're tasty.
Yeah, those are really tasty. So I got a question I'll ask you.
People seem to like the interview format. I started yakking too much, and all your viewers went away.
No, I'm gonna get some interview stuff. So let's talk about what is kind of your what's a good idea for bullets downrange a week or month? What would you recommend a newbie? How many bullets should they try to shoot a month? Now, not everybody is fortunate like us, where we live in literally no man's land and can shoot off of our back patio all day, every day. What do you think?
I think the prerequisite of having some range fees or a membership should be part of it. So realistically, for your suburbanite fella who has, say 2 kids, Wiffy, bills, all these things, 15 rounds a week, you can do a lot with
Yes, you
one
can.
V19 mag. You can do a ton.
Hmm. So
I'd say
15 rounds a week is a good starting point.
I'd say it's a good starting point. Yep.
Cool. Do you think that what do you think is more important to shoot? The gun on your range belt, like the gun that you would wear on your battle belt that you would take in battle and like pick up and actually hit the highway with, or just your small subcompact conceal and carry? What do you think you would train with more for a newbie? I get asked that as well.
So I would say and this is going to be kind of a two-part answer because I have a kind of a different philosophy on this than a lot of fellas. I say take your G19 and on your battle belt have a 17.
Yep.
Pack your G23 on your battle belt, have a 22. Have the full size for your battle
Yep.
belt. That way, caliber is the same, recoil is very similar, grip's going to be a little different, but very
Right.
similar. Same generation, same gun, just baby, big size.
That's exactly how I have mine set up.
Yep, and then still practice with your battle belt sidearm, but obviously, put more time into your EDC firearm because that is the one you're most likely to use if you ever do, right?
Mhm. So, do you ever train with your how often do you train with your performance rounds, your hollow points, your critical defense rounds? Do you try to shoot a couple of those a month or a couple every few months? Where do you kind of stand on that? Does it really matter? Does matter to you? Do you have any
It
preference on
it
that?
definitely matters. Definitely matters as often as you can, right? Because if that's what you're carrying, you want to get as close as you can to real world with any training.
Mhm.
That's obvious. For training, right?
Mhm.
So if you're going to be packing, say, Spear Gold Dot or Hornady Critical Defense or Duty in your sidearm, obviously they're far more expensive than your cheap 115 9 mils, right? Your
Mhm.
115 grains or whatever you're shooting. But you need to be shooting with them as much as you can. Now, a lot of fellows have construed this on my channel. They're like, "Well, there's no way anyone can afford it." I'm not saying do it every day. Don't only shoot with those, just as much as you can. You know your budget. I don't. Um, and for some fellas, that might be they shoot a mag a month. Maybe
Mhm.
it's a mag every 3 months. A quick little
Mhm.
hack and trick is try to find a cheap practice ammo that has the same grain count as your defensive rounds. Now, the thing is, if it's a plus P, it won't shoot the same, but it will be similar. Bullet
Mhm.
drop's going to be similar. Recoil is going to be little less, with the practice rounds.
Mhm.
The way that it impacts, right? Point of impacts at different ranges. That's really what you want to be looking for. Because if you have a proper grip, recoil is kind of irrelevant anyway.
Right.
So try to get as close to your carry ammo and grain count as you can, and that's
Good.
sort of a cheaper
Good
hack
stuff.
to um, be familiar with your carry ammo without always blasting through the expensive stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes. Got another
Oh,
question for
damn.
you here.
I was ranting. My cigar went out.
No. Lock that back up. Tactical Muffin Top, thanks for stopping by, bro. For those of you guys watching, Tactical Muffin Top is one of the first kind of YouTuber community guys that Missouri Survival and Modern Frontier kind of introduced me to. So Tactical Muffin Top does really good stuff with chest rigs, some equipment and gear. He would be really somebody to give a follow to talk about equipment, gear. He does some deep dive into Minuteman, like stuff you wear and stuff that he's just really knowledgeable. So
I would
uh,
love to Tactical Muffin Top. If you're on Signal, shoot me a message, Yukon.74, because
yeah,
I'm getting more into the chest rig stuff.
I will get him your info. He's on my Signal as well. I'll kind of add him over to us. You two would get
Cool.
along great. So he's a
Heck
really
yeah.
good he doesn't overkill it, but he's just got good knowledgeable information on that. So let me ask you this, and I'm kind of guilty about this, and I kind of want your opinion because I know where I stand, and it's probably against the grain, but a lot of people have range magazines and kind of safe magazines, and then they have like a battle belt. I'm really bad about with all my Glicks, especially having compatible mags from the 19, the 17, and my 45, whatever. You know, they're all pretty well interchangeable for the most part. I kind of use mine for everything. Like I abuse them, I number them, I keep up with them. Do you keep any that just stay in the just in case pile? Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
Okay.
I do the same thing with my ARs. So I have a couple hundred duty exclusive loaded with the best ammo I could afford at the time. Some of it's 77 grain, some of it's 72 grain. I've got some Hornady taps in there, or 75 grain. I forget. Just the heavier grain count, the battle stuff. They're all basically, they come out of the box, they get marked, designated, they get loaded, and they're stuck and they
Okay.
stay there. So basically, I like to try to at least do that with, 2 to 4 mags for each pistol. It doesn't always happen, especially, for instance, like in the Glugers and the 19s and the 45s I run the Glock 17 mags for extra capacity, because why not? So I would say for your EDC gun, your range gun, have 3 to 4 mags, because you want to carry a spare, maybe, what have you, that you're not filling full of mud, that you're not wearing out the springs on, which, obviously that'll take forever and a year to do. But, you keep them clean, you keep them operational, and you keep them full of good carry ammo. And you're not messing with that,
Well put.
So that you can go into your center console, you can go into your pocket or your mag pouch. You can grab a mag, it's got good ammo, and it's going to function.
Yeah, you're not cramming it full of the sticky icky and mud and gunk and shell rock and
Right.
Arkansas red dirt and all that kind of stuff. What's up, Overton? There's Mr. Windex, the albino Jesus. Thanks for stopping by, my friend. Yeah, I think that's a question that I see kind of get picked on a little bit about the, home mags versus range mags. So I'll tell you
What is the
something that,
populace saying on your channel about that? Are they disagreeing with that, or are they?
well,
What's their take?
people just kind of ask. They see how I abuse a lot of my equipment and really put my stuff through the ringer. And you kind of are black, Overton. I'm sorry. Pieces of shit. I'm terrible. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to be racist to you, Overton. But yeah, I think a lot of people ask that question, like, are those the mags you rely on? And a lot of my channel is I am beating the crap out of my mags because it's fun to see how long they last and see if you actually have any issues. So G45, that's the best pencil. That's the best pistol I can recommend as well. Glock 45. Dude, we all have big hands. Yuckin's got big hands. I've got big hands. Overton has big hands. Glock 45 is going to fit like a glove. And like the Windex says, if you're having a hard time gripping that gun, it's because you're doing something way wrong. Just change your grip. All three of
Additionally,
us.
it's easier to get MOS cut as opposed to the
Yeah.
19 without going the 19X. At least in a lot of places I've looked at.
For sure. I have the first generation Glock 45, so I had to send mine off. Yeah, I could have bought slides, but I got a buddy that did them for like $80 a piece and, blued them and whatnot. So
nice. You had a buddy that did it cheaper?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I still had to mail mine off because I'm too lazy to drive.
Right.
But yeah, let me think of. I had a couple other questions. We'll see if anybody pops one off for Overton or anyone in here.
Am I well endowed? No. The answer is no.
Yeah, I noticed your latest mag short. The tops are stained with carbon. You actually shoot? Yes, Shadal, my friend. We shoot a lot. I like it a lot. I feel like we're constantly shooting every day. A lot of my shorts I try to pound out on the weekend, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I think last month we shot 2,000 rounds here. And I say we because I'm talking about the members of the channel. I consider y'all a part of this. So when I say we, it's not me and Yukon.
Right. Yeah. We've never shot together.
Yeah, we haven't. But I
That would be
consider,
homosexual in nature.
well, maybe.
Only a little, though.
Only a little. A little bit's acceptable. I was joking. I do have some big hands, but recently got a Springfield that I'm really liking. I'm not a big fan of Springfield pistols, but if you like it, keep shooting it. Make sure it's for you. We're pretty vanilla over here. We don't venture out too far. We own probably all the pistols that you've shot or have owned, but I've kind of gone down the rabbit hole of changing pistol after pistol. And what about you, Yuckin? When did you kind of gravitate towards the pistol you want to be at, kind of deal?
I cheated. I was
Mhm.
basically told, hey, you want to run this? And then I got that. And I'm like, okay, good.
Yeah,
And then I kind of went and explored after the fact.
that's a good way to do it.
I was fortunate enough to have some pretty experienced fellas in my family and then in my close friends group growing up. So
Able
I
to
got
able to
kind
make
of,
that work.
yeah,
Over
right.
Overton says 5-gallon bucket of mags and manual car wash equals the best way to clean mags. Very well, very good. A lot of people are afraid to get their mags wet and stuff, dude. Hose those dudes down. If you're worried about them rusting inside, just peel them apart. Throw a little lube in there if you feel like you have to. But Glock mags and P mags, and you really aren't going to hurt them, man. I mean, like I, I don't really think I've ever broke a stock Glock mag. Maybe one. I may have broke one over the years, but um, yeah.
They'll
What about?
occasionally have issues, but they're
Yeah,
just damn reliable.
yeah. Do not lube mags. That's kind of a good point. I don't
If
know
you
if
if you feel like you absolutely have to, I would say the only option that makes any kind of sense, and I'm not endorsing this, but if you have to, go graphite. Don't add any oil.
I don't think I've ever actually had to lube or think about lubing one. I may have had one. I don't know. AK mags come all lubed up, but that's because they're in the shit that they ship them in from Russia, the old slab backs and stuff. But ever,
Well,
haha,
they're probably dual purpose. In Soviet Russia, you do not use
absolutely,
Meg. Meg
absolutely.
uses you.
Yeah, you tell them you're using a polymer mag, and they do not like you. Overton's got his new truck. He needs to make a road trip. What you call it? Smoking. Yuckin has you got a Russian cream, don't you?
It's a black Russian.
I've got a Rosa Cuba's Nicaragua. It's got this nice little girl on it here. I got these for free from a fan, I guess you could say. What are the campfire streams? I'm trying to think of some more questions I need to pick your brain about. I've got several of them.
I learned today that to the right person with the right hard drive, the right scrap company, you can get $10 per for old antiquated hard drives.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So I didn't know that either. So now I know what I'm going to do every time I go to the dump because there's always like 30 old towers just sitting there at the dump.
Yeah,
I'm going to go yank hard drives.
that's free ammo.
It's free ammo, free mags, lube, fuel money.
I just use KY jelly for lube.
Had to rip one there. Sorry, fellas.
I just use
Timing couldn't have been better.
Oh, that was good. Overton, I've road trip to see half the people. Not me, motherfucker. You're gonna have to come down here this end of the South. You hadn't been this deep south yet. You've been to Tennessee though, I think. Pick Yuckin up, come down here, and we'll blow some stuff up. Getting sliced. I am venturing out. I've always hunted and done some long range shooting, but I'm gonna get my first AR soon. Heck yeah, Bob. Do it. Get it. Yukon smokes. I wouldn't have guessed that. Only when he runs really fast.
Most things that are bad for me, I do.
Yeah, don't we all? especially on live streams. Live streams is usually where I wake up with a headache the next morning. You inglorious bastard.
Well,
Or
hey.
it's like 2 a.m. here, and it's like 8:30 where you're at.
No, it's a little later than that, but yeah.
Yeah.
What time is it there anyway?
It's just now 11. It's 11:11. Kiss the clock.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't want to peter out my rhythm of asking you questions. What
Well,
do
let's
you ever?
switch it up. I got a question for you.
Let's hear it,
Outside the waistband, inside the waistband, open carry, concealed carry. What's
man.
your thoughts on that?
I'm an appendix carry, just because appendix inside the waistband, I guess you could say, because I have for my full time job, especially doing the first responder stuff on the side gig, just easier for me to kind of hide the gun, especially if we're showing up. I kind of like to be low and undercover, and I'm in an office. I travel a lot, so I have a lot of clients that I'm walking into their property, their offices, their domains. Some I know, some I don't know. So I always just appendix carry hidden. But I will say when I'm out here on the property and going to town to get diesel and tractor stuff, I will take my Safari and just clip it on my little belt that I have, like an actual belt, but it has a little spot for my quick. So I will outside the waist carry around home, around town, especially being in a mountain town. Nobody cares. Nobody even notices. What about you? I know how you like it. Tell the audience.
I'm a wide out, open, everybody's to see plain sight sort of guy.
Yep.
And I've got probably 3 different holsters now I use depending on what I'm doing. But like I've said before, I've
Mhm.
said it a million times. Open carry is not for everybody, especially if the whole
Right.
gun thing is not a lifestyle choice for you. Um, you gotta. It puts you in a position to where a lot of attention is drawn to you, even if, which in your community, Fox, and mine as well, it's very normal.
Yeah.
Even then, there's going to be somebody somewhere that notices it that wouldn't
Mhm.
normally.
There's going to be
And
somebody traveling through,
yep,
or the drunk guy that wants to mouth something weird or something.
yep, there's going to be it draws more attention to you. Your head doesn't need to be on a swivel, right? That's a bad way to put it. But you do need to be more aware. Your awareness needs to be up, your situational awareness and being able to react to
Mhm.
things. Maybe you don't have enough training to be able to react and shoot in close quarters, things like that. I know I can always learn on that myself, so don't
Mhm.
think I have it all figured out, but it puts you in a little bit of a little higher risk situation if we're being honest.
Yeah, it's
So
kind
for
of
new
the.
gun owners, I think concealment is probably the way.
Mhm. Yeah, it seems like when you're doing the exterior holsterage, you're putting yourself out there a little more. Therefore, you need to be, I'm not going to say advanced, but you need to be extremely comfortable and know what you signed up for. And also, I think this goes for anyone carrying a gun. Yeah, you need to be level headed and know to avoid situations. I mean, dude,
Yep.
road rage, being silly, being stupid. It's somebody made a comment on my channel the other day, and when I was doing the rubber band thing, about how when I'm pulling my gun out, I'm already breaking that trigger. That way, when I get it out here, I can round one off. And they were talking about how stupid that is. Well, I got news for everyone. If I have decided to pull my gun out and present it and let it be known, we're breaking shots by the time it gets out there. I'm not pulling a gun out to go walk the dog on a random stranger. If you're in a public setting and you have made that decision, I can't give legal advice, but you better be prepared for the repercussions if you're pointing guns at people.
I can think of at least 4, maybe 5 very good instructors, some dead, some alive. Uh, Pat Mack,
Yeah.
freaking James Yeager, John Lovell, Chris Costa. There's probably several others that all teach that, and there's a reason for that. Like you just said, if you're pulling your sidearm, you need to use it. Number one, that's where the mindset, and that's why a lot of these classes and instructors they teach mindset, sort of the ideology behind or that goes along with carrying a sidearm, right? But
Right.
and this kind of goes back into that dry fire practice that we're talking about. That's a learned skill. You don't just magically like, hey, I'm gonna suddenly, as soon as I'm at 90% presentation, I've got all
Right.
the slack and out of my trigger. You got to
Right.
dry fire practice that. So it's not unsafe. It's
Yeah.
not bad. It's just knowing.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Here's a great example. It's knowing when to put your rig in 4-wheel drive or not. You
Yeah.
get into a situation where you're slipping and sliding and you need 4-wheel drive. You need 4-wheel drive. That's all. That there's no
That's
other
all there is
option at
to
this
it.
point.
That's all there is to it.
You hem and haw, you're going to slide off into the ditch, and guess what? You're screwed. Someone else has to come save your ass.
And just like what Shed Allen Overton said, is there's no threat of violence. We're civilians. I'm not a police officer if I'm off duty or not reserve or whatever. If you're a civilian out there, you don't just walk around clearing out, parking lots all the time with your gun out. You've got
Right.
that gun out. You have opened the door up. Most importantly, if there is a threat and I am in fear for my life where I need to expose, I have a firearm and it's out pointed at you, you better be prepared to take that shot, because that person you're just jokingly or pointing at them to stand them down, they may be a hell of a lot faster to you and you're going to wish you broke that shot. I mean, it's just kind of common sense, man. And that goes back to what Yuckin was saying here. If you're going to carry a gun, you got to avoid the confrontation. You can't be hanging out at a bar, with an open carry, drinking and getting yourself into situations that you're going to get ate up by a defense attorney.
Well, you're gonna get bounced out of
Yeah,
that bar in about 30 seconds anyway. But
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Well,
it's just kind of common sense. And I've said this in charts, and we've talked about this a bunch, Fox. There's a certain level of decorum and responsibility that comes with just owning a gun, not even carrying it. If you're openly a gun owner, please, for the love of God, don't be one of those apostrophe basketball humans that's out there mag dumping into suburban neighborhoods. Please don't
yeah,
be that person.
yeah, yeah.
Don't
Overton,
don't be a Nigerian meg dumper.
no, no. When Dick says breaking the shot is the last step of a civilian draw stroke, yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, that's the last thing you do after the threat is eliminated. Yeah, it's a weird deal, and I think a lot of people don't think of that. Some people just like the culture or the freedoms to have a gun, and hey, that's wonderful. But at the end of the day, you got to know what you signed up for if you think you need to use it. Shed Sean Al Hi Bros, what's up, Sean? Thanks for stopping in, Zimmerman. Um, yeah, so we covered in and out. What else? What else you got for me? I'll let you ask one more. That was a good one.
So let me ask you this. When you're in a rig and you do take your sidearm off you,
Uh-huh.
what's your preference? Where does it go?
Usually goes. I have this little spot because I'm old school. In my GMC, I have the old shift here, so I have this little spot that's right here. And usually I will pop it out of the holster a little bit where it's slightly out, but it can't fall out. That way, if I go to grab it one handed, it's very easy to maneuver that holster off of it. But honestly, I usually keep it appendix because I'm very weird built. I'm like short waisted. So where my seatbelt hits me, it's actually about the old little above the nad level. I don't know. It's kind of odd. So my conceal and carry is very well for me to get to. I know that sounds odd, but I've practiced this a lot of times. But
Sure.
sometimes it just gets uncomfortable. I did see someone in the comments that asked what holster for inside. Fat Tack makes a holster that has several holes in it, so you can raise it or higher it. And to me, that's kind of the fix to that solution about carrying appendix with your seatbelt on. You can kind of manually raise that holster up a little bit. But what about you?
So because I'm a 3 o'clock carry outside the
Mhm.
waistband, blah blah blah. Either it just stays in the holster and it's just a quick, drop my hand and go type thing,
Yeah.
or because you may be a long road trip, I'll take it out of the holster or switch to a different holster that's kind of not really
Mhm.
purpose built, but it's been kind of set up for it. I'll stick it between the seats.
Yep.
So all I have to do is move my hand, you know, this far, and it's right there. I'm not, I'm a big fat guy, right? I'm crammed into most rigs, and I'm fat. So appendix carry, especially in the rig for me,
Yeah.
is just it's super uncomfortable. It's not doable. It's not impossible to do. It's just, especially longer drives, it's a
Mhm.
pain in the dick, literally. Um,
What do you
so yeah,
what do you how do you feel about like those little magnet things that people will put kind of like under their steering wheels here? Yeah. I didn't I've never used one but I've seen obviously them advertised.
yeah. So there was a brief moment in time where I thought, oh, that's pretty cool, and I kept thinking about the reality of it,
Yeah, exactly.
and it's like, wait a minute, it's magnetized, the trigger's not covered,
Yep.
and most people are putting it down right about knee height. Okay, which it's going to get knocked off. I've seen it happen. So it's got to be satellite loaded, which means you're making this weird, unnatural reach down rack around, because you could just push forward and it racks around. I
Yeah.
know it's great marketing, but logically it doesn't make sense.
Hmm.
So now you just slowed yourself down, and if you didn't slow yourself down, you got a chance of an ND,
Right.
and that's where I'm like, just stick it between the seats in a holster, something like a no retention Kydex, a sheath basically that just
Yeah.
fits tightly between your seats. If you're really that worried about not having it on your body, I
Mhm.
don't like the center console thing, because it's like you're rummaging around, and I got to make a
Yeah.
chart
I
about
don't
this.
do
You got
that.
pack of gum, can of chew, some old change. Oh, geez, a used condom. Oh, there's my gun. It's like,
Right.
don't do that.
Yeah.
The pop up safes, they're
I don't
kind of
do
in the
that.
same category as the magnets. They're
Hmm.
gimmicky. I don't think they're practical. I think they're kind of an
Yeah.
accident waiting to happen, frankly.
Windex kind of said halfway out of the holster, stuck in the seat, both not great, and magnets. Yeah, we know. That's kind of why it goes back to most of the time I just appendix it. I'm just still wearing it. I can still get to it. My seatbelt's not necessarily in the way. Um, but worst case scenario, I'll pull it out and just set it within hand's reach. But to be fair, things change. If I'm just driving down the road on interstate, I mean, I'm clearly not going to be making shots while going 80. But if I'm pulling over or no, I've got like a stop sign coming up, things change. These are all questions that are kind of what scenario? Where is my gun when I'm putting my blinker to turn into a gas station? Well, it's slowly starting to make that transition if it's not already appendix back into appendix or I mean, but if I'm on a 80-mile-per-hour road trip and I see interstates coming to a stop or there's something abrupt going on, yeah, I mean, I'm a first responder. I've been in chaos most of my life, so things start to all change, dynamics start to change. But then you got to think, what if you get rear-ended? So let's say, for instance, you're in a road rage situation and someone's trying to harm you and they start hitting your car and you've left your gun, balancing on your cup holder and it goes in the floorboard now. And now you got a guy coming up to your window. I mean, there are so many scenarios that are pretty wild. Show that Jeep transmission with a 300 Weatherby accident one time. I have a sling pouch I wear around the house, rides below the seatbelt, very comfortable for long drives. Yeah, there's all kinds of ways to make things more comfortable, but I guess honestly, the one of the best answers is you should probably train like that. If you're going to practice drawing out of a holster in a vehicle, you may want to try that like once or twice a week, just like you would shooting at the range. You know, do a few dry fires in the old family truckster there, Russ.
Yeah, obviously, and so to the point of not sticking it in the seat, that's not ideal, but obviously,
Here on a gun bag cop style, then the passenger seat is the only acceptable ideal I've ever seen besides keeping it. The problem with the passenger seat is when you're driving a big old truck like what I have too, it is kind of hard to, especially if it's like my 43X or my 19, it may be kind of hard because usually if I'm solo, which I am and I travel for work, is my passenger seat usually has a backpack in it, usually has a laptop in it, usually has snacks but yeah, I mean, Windex has got a good point there. Some sort of gun bag, cop style kind of deal.
yeah, no, I'm not leaving, right? I mean, I don't think you are. Like, you get out to pump your gas, you're not leaving your gun there, right?
Not at
It
all.
goes
No,
with
that
you. It's just
that gun usually before I even get my seatbelt off or exit, that gun is going right back where it was when I got into the vehicle, and that was whether it be out of the waist carry or appendix
so that brings
ammo.
up something kind of interesting. Sorry,
Okay.
go ahead. I got to grab my chew anyway.
Yeah. I'll read Ammo's little thing he wrote here. He said, I almost got attacked by a pit bull inside customer's backyard, so I don't feel comfortable without it now, even customer's house. No doubt. I carry my pistol when I run. I'm a runner. I bike. So I'm constantly out on public roadways or sidewalks. And I can tell you right now, when I'm alone running, even if it's in clean, nice neighborhoods, I actually would rather have my pistol then than I would if I was like just traveling to different cities, because I was chased one day. I was on my road bike. I know, gay. And I used to ride a whole lot, 50 miles a week. And I had a sheepdog and a German Shepherd mixed dog chase me, and I didn't think anything of it. And all I had was my Glock 42, and I had it in this little pouch on my road bike. But these dogs were like tag teaming me, and I really didn't have a way to get off my bike because I was clipped in to get to my gun. So that's when everything changed. I now keep hot sauce. I have this little holster type thing right on my handlebar. That way, if it's a dog and I don't feel like, you know, killing it just for chasing me, a little bit of that hot sauce goes a long way. So I'll, mace it. But yeah, I think that's something a lot of us concealing carriers forget. There is a such thing as a good middle ground for protecting yourself, and you don't want to hurt anyone. I can tell you right now, we see a lot of death being on ambulance life, and you don't want to have to harm someone if you don't have to. And mace, hot sauce, bear spray is a great buffer that is really the best. I've had to use it. Had to I had a situation with a distant family member that was kicking a door in and drunk, and very well could have lost his life that night. But luckily, pepper spray was around, and that that did the trick until the police came. Let's see. I have a road bike too, down tube style. Hell yeah, dude. I have 4 road bikes. I'll have to show you the collection in the old Signal group. But go ahead, Yuckin. What were you going to say there before you got your chaw?
I kind of forgot.
Oh, no, I knew that was going to happen.
No,
Okay.
I got it. So checklist, having a mental checklist, and this is not important. It is hyper critical. That means
Okay.
nothing's more important. Having a
Yep.
mental checklist, and if you have to, write it on a sticky note, stick it on your dash. If you're going
Mhm.
to take your sidearm off you, have keep it simple, 3 or 4 item checklist. Acquire sidearm or reholster sidearm or however you want to phrase it.
Right.
Take keys, grab backpack, whatever. If you're going to be taking a piece of life-saving equipment and therein a dangerous tool, if used incorrectly, off of
Mhm.
your person, you are no longer in control of it, right? Having a checklist so that every time you enter and exit your vehicle, you have a visual checklist, and you will train yourself over time pretty easily, actually, because
Mhm.
we're monkeys,
Oh, yeah.
to think about these things before you exit your vehicle. So if you do take off your sidearm and stick it between the seats or whatever flavor you do, um, take you a post-it note or whatever, sticky note, and just put it right on your dash, right by your gauges to where you can't miss it. And just get in the habit of running
Yeah.
through those motions, whether you have a sidearm or not.
Mhm.
Make it a habit to do that. That'll save you from, God forbid, leaving your sidearm in your rig. Some kid finds it,
Mhm.
goes and holds up a bank and shoots somebody.
Mhm.
On that note, I need to add to my checklist to make sure to not put gas in a diesel. So
Oh, man.
checklists will save you even when you're tired, even when you're
Yeah.
distracted. Having that
Yeah.
checklist that you drill into your head will save you from dumb
Mhm.
shit like that. Because it's just that easy. You're distracted, you leave your sidearm in there, you get into an argument with Nancy down the road.
Yeah.
Your gun's just sitting there unattended in plain view, right? So
The diesel and the gas, bro. I'm sorry, man. We've all
yeah, no,
we
it's that, but that's a great example. I wanted
it
to
is,
use that
bro.
because
It is, man.
it's you get distracted for a split second and dumb
Yep.
shit happens.
Well, what happens is we're all running around 100 miles an hour. We've got side gigs, full-time gigs, families. We've just got our hands full, and then
Sure.
you throw life in the mix, sleep deprived, and just you can't be great at everything. And it's not that you're not great at everything, but one slip up it just so happened to be could be the one that really, really sucks and bites you in the ass.
The thing is you can actually, like, any fella out there can be great at everything to an extent, right? We
Of
can be
course.
great at remembering things. We have these things right here we're talking on. They've
Oh
got
yeah.
reminders. We can put down notes. We've got sticky notes. Just little simple tricks like that will save your ass. So yeah, I think just for the hilarity of it, and just because I will maybe make a sticky note that
Yeah.
says, "Friggin', this is a diesel." Put diesel,
Yeah.
something like that.
Dude,
Because that really does work. Unless,
of
of course, you
course.
can't read, in which case you're screwed. So
Well, I, I've noticed even just on the channel, like my phone notes, there's like 7 books of just content in there that as soon as I get an idea to talk about or a gun statistic or a training thing, it's going in the notes because literally in 30 seconds, I could have the greatest video idea ever or something I want to throw to you or Windex. And if I don't put it in the notes, dude, it's gone. Like
yep,
it's poof, it disappears because
yep,
well, there's also a million other things, and we're just pleasure monkeys. We're just trying to get through the day alive and have a good time doing it.
sure, yeah,
Yeah, checklist for the gun owner or for the anybody owner is a good idea. I was watching on TV the other day, and these people went to a corn maze. It was on not live PD, but live patrol. I never watch TV, but if I sit down and the tube's running, just like your old man, the old dad, you sit down and the TV's on, so you watch it.
yep,
Um,
yep,
Man, these people left their kid at a corn maze and got all the way home, and they were a younger couple. They weren't on drugs. They weren't drunk. You just tell they were tired parents. And I'm like, how the hell could anyone do that? I'm like, oh yeah, well, it
they
happens.
left their kid and went home. You say?
Yeah, they left their kid. They were doing family photos at a corn maze, and
Sure.
they had a bunch of family members there. And I guess they just thought the kid got picked up by grandma and got thrown in her minivan. And they get
Yeah.
home and they're 10 miles down the road, and then the police call. Like, hey, your 4-year-old's here. So,
Yeah. So I got left at church when I was just a little lad, probably 4 or 5 years old,
yeah.
and my parents didn't even realize I was gone until one of the deacons dropped me off back at the house. At least that's the way I remember
Uh,
it. That's the way the story was told. I don't know if that was them being crass after the fact, but
oh
it
yeah.
really is easy. If you don't have a mental checklist that was
Mhm.
drilled into your head with hard paper writing or something,
Yeah.
the digital just doesn't sink in. At least not for me.
Yeah.
Um, like me and the better half, we have a checklist. Anytime we go to town as a family, there's a checklist. We grab,
For sure.
we've already got the car kit. I grab my go bag. I make sure everything's good to go. I do a quick little check fluids. It's just habit, right? On the rig, we drive old shitty rigs.
Mhm.
Make sure all the kids are buckled. And I go through and buckle them all. Then she
Mhm.
rechecks it. She double checks me. And I ask her, "Are you packing? Okay, what holster you got?" We kind of, it sounds really
Oh yeah.
stupid and
No,
cumbersome, but
man.
we've got
No.
it down to where that 10 minutes before we go, we're having this conversation and
Oh yeah.
we're running through the checklist, checking each other, right? So if you
Oh yeah.
have a wife or a girlfriend, use her as a point of reference to say,
Mhm.
"Hey, double check me, I'll double check you."
For
Fresh set of
sure.
eyes never hurts.
No, no, you can never be too overchecked and going through the motions.
Unless it's by the federal government, in which case they can get bent. But
Exactly. Let's see here. Somebody said I bought some steel plate armor for my plate carrier from Timu. Could you recommend if this would be safe if I go fight on the Russian border? No, I can't. I mean, it depends. Would you rather take a bullet to the chest without a steel plate?
a Timo steel plate, yeah, probably, because all
Yeah,
you're doing is adding shrapnel, I
you're
would
just
think.
gonna prolong your suffering unless you got medics around. But no, I can't recommend a Timu steel plate. I don't know.
Going
Let's see.
from 2 kids to 3 kids, that's the moment you realize it's totally possible to forget a kid. So, in defense of my parents, they had 9.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah,
But that's true though. Well, maybe you don't, Fox, but I know
yeah,
Windex does. I know you go
yeah.
from 2 kids to 3. It's like a diametric shift in the world,
I
and
had
then anything
four
beyond that is
four
just
brothers.
whatever. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
That
yeah. There was 4 of us growing up, and we did lucky if we got called the right name once a year.
Yep.
I mean, we were all boys and we were hellions, and I'm telling you right now, we all sound the same. And dude, you just learn how to make it work.
Yep.
Let's see. So let me ask you guys this, and I want your thoughts on this because this popped into my head the other day. So, still headgear, ballistic helmets. Shit hit the fan scenario. Would you rather have a ballistic helmet on and take a 223 or 308 to the head at 50 or 100 yards, or would you rather not? Because two reasons: it shit hit the fans. If you take a bullet at what 12, 14, 1500 feet per second, whether it be 308 or 223, whatever, 6.5, I have a feeling you're going to get knocked out or you're going to be brain dead. There's not going to be a helicopter to land and pick you up and take you. So would you rather just have on just a bump helmet or no helmet at all, or would you really want a ballistic helmet? Well, what's everyone's thoughts on that? Higher priority than body armor, Windex says.
Well, you said if I may jump in here, you said would you take it to the helmet or not? I'm going to go with the not option.
Well, no. I'm just saying, if you if you had the helmet, would you rather just not have the helmet and take the bullet, or would you rather have the helmet and just lay there and be brain dead? I guess is
Well,
my.
I don't know. Given the shape of the helmet, I mean, unless it was perfect instance,
Mhm.
especially if you're moving around and you're mobile, the chances of it glancing off and not really doing much of anything are actually probably pretty high. That's not off of experience. That's just purely off of research and talking to guys who have
Mhm.
been shot in the helmet. In fact, one of my neighbors is kind of famous for it. He was shot in the helmet. It did knock him out,
Yeah.
but it didn't kill him or hurt him. It just knocked him out, and he
Okay.
woke up and he's like, "Ew." Um, he was an Army Ranger,
Mhm.
and that's one of his little claims to fame is he got shot in the helmet. Like first
Right,
first
but
time he ever went over to I believe it was Iraq. Young kid. That's what he calls himself at the time. And this and
mhm.
that, and I forget what it was. He stepped out of something or around something, and boom, hit in the head with a round right
Oh
to the
man,
helmet. And that
dang.
was like his first day of deployment,
Yeah,
basically.
got to
Um,
load up and got to come home.
no, he was
Yeah.
totally fine. Totally fine.
Hey.
He just had, that the helmet did its job. So that's a tough one, though. I would say if I was in a situation to where I would get shot at and there's a chance of it, I would rather have a helmet.
Yeah. No, I'll agree. I mean, kind of. I guess if it was a 308 and you took one to the helmet at, they're 100 yards away, I don't know what the situation would be like.
You may not be okay after that.
Yeah, you may wish you. Well, I guess you'd be brain dead. I don't know. We need to dive into that. I would like to know 308 versus helmet and see what kind of impact that does to the noggin. So there's something else someone said in here. I want to go back. Someone asked, "What is your perfect shit hit the fan caliber cartridge you recommend for the rifle?" I've got two answers to that question, real quick. Probably whatever I have the most of, and if it shit hits the fan and the world's kind of over, kind of deal, that may be one of those whatever's going to be laying around. And where I'm from and my parts, it's going to be NATO rounds. I would tell you I like AK, but there's not many people in my area that have 7.62 by 39 anymore. So I'm probably going to go with the classic 308, 223, 5.56. There are better rounds, obviously 6.5 and those kind of things, but they're just kind of hard to find as far as shit hit the fan. Now, if you've got thousands of rounds, you're fine. But
Yeah, as far as picking stuff off the ground, I see comments like this on my channel constantly. Oh, there'll be plenty of laying around. I don't need to have that. And it's like, well, certain things you got to kind of have because you won't be around to pick it up.
right.
Um, so yeah, go with whatever's readily available. Ubiquity is step one to good logistics. Is it easy to obtain, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And shit hit the fan. I'm guilty of it too. We all are. We fantasize about, oh, someday we're gonna be holed up in the woods and there's gonna be zombies all around, and me and the wife are gonna be in the back 40 just making babies to repopulate the earth. It's like that's not how it's gonna be if it happens.
Mm,
If it's gonna happen, which I don't believe it ever actually will,
no.
not to the extent of the movies by any stretch.
Yeah.
Most of us are gonna die like that.
Yeah.
So. it'll be very, very different than what a lot of us have in our heads.
Yeah, you're
But
not wrong. I mean, that's when people ask what's the best shit hit the fan. I mean, whatever you train with. I mean, in my situation, I'm probably going to grab the old 5.56, 223, and 9 millimeter because, well, that's what I've got loaded. And I'm sure that's what Yuckin's got loaded. Windex. I mean, it's probably what the abundance of your magazines are going to be. AR mags, and I do keep
yep.
my fighting ammo, I guess you could call it. I prefer 77 grade Sierra match grade. IMI. I like that stuff just because that's what a lot of my precision or my scopes are dialed in with. But yeah,
Hmm.
um, the cockroach crackhead will survive the zombie. Yeah, we had this discussion on a live stream a while back. If you want to see who would survive this kind of stuff, just go to your streets and see who's already surviving with absolutely no elite gear, no cool gear. Just go find the homeless. Those people have figured out how to pretty well hunker down and survive with none of the shit we really have.
Well, there's that, and there's also look at, and this is a pretty tainted example, but you look at the true, well, as close as it can be to true homesteaders of
Yeah,
2020. The actually truly
yeah,
off grid guys. I got a couple here in my neck of
we
the
do
woods,
too.
and they're once every 6 months to town. They
Yep,
they grow all their own food. They raise their own livestock. They pay their property taxes. They make enough money selling firewood. That's it.
yep.
Everything else is in house. And you look at people like that; they survive in a much better lifestyle than the homeless, with
Man,
nothing
just
basically.
literally go back. In my case, in the Ozark Mountains, just go back 60 years ago. And that's
Yep.
75 years ago. That's how everyone survived. My dad is still fairly young, but he remembers getting their first like stove and refrigerator. Like when they
Mm,
went to bed at night, they took a rock and they set it in front of a fireplace and you wrapped it up in linings and
yep.
you put it at the foot of your bed and that was your heater at night. And my dad is born in the 50s. I mean,
Yep. Yep.
hey, you go back anything 1950 and below here where me and Yuckin probably live. Um, that's how like I would say probably 80% or 90% of the people lived. And then you go back another 30 years, 25 years, 50 years, that's how everyone lived.
Grandmother on my mom's side,
Mhm.
her family kind of got to the Americana shores a little bit later.
Yeah,
100% Norwegian,
right.
straight from frickin' Norway.
Yep.
They homesteaded.
Yep.
That dating me, my parents, and my
Mhm.
uh, great grandparents and all that. But that's you do the math. That's 4 generations ago.
Yeah, not that
They
long
were
ago.
literally homesteading, so it's not that
Yeah.
long ago
No.
that it's crazy to me that you and I were kind of into it. I know I've got a lot to learn. We probably both do. How much of that's been lost? How quickly that's been
Oh, dude.
lost?
You really have to check out, and you know this about me. We homesteaded here in 1817, and we're on the same piece of property, the same
Hmm.
farm. And I remind myself multiple times a day how much of this was lost. I mean, there's still barns that were standing here from, 1850, 1870, and I'm like, man, just looking at that wood, even with my tools I have now and your tools, dude, it would kick our ass to build that. And these people were using literally nothing. I mean, it's how much
No
of
power
this was
tools.
lost?
They probably didn't
Nothing.
have bubble sticks, all that stuff.
No, no, no. I mean, just think about they didn't have electrolytes and hydration packs and steroids and dude, these people literally
Salt
had
and
to.
water, baby.
That's it, man. They had to figure out how to build that and then still get supper on the table.
Oh yeah, absolute. And not to mention, especially if they're like the case of my family immigrating here many many moons ago on both sides, both my parents' sides.
For sure.
Um, different game. Cooks different minerals
Yeah,
readily available. The water's a little bit different. You have to supplement it different ways. Different stuff grows at different times of the year. They had to relearn all this
all
stuff,
of
and
it.
they somehow made it work. And here we are, we're bitching because we don't have bacon at the local store. It's like,
Yeah.
what the hell, no?
They say the ones that what's crazy is I read this and no offense to anyone because we got ran
I'm
out
offended.
of. Yeah. my family got ran out of Scotland and Ireland, but they had to marry women and change our last name when we came here to the Ozarks. Literally, they wouldn't let us bring our last name here. But long story short, the toughest people that ever really made it were the ones that came to the Americas, because the ones that weren't able to make it, the original Norwegians, the original Scottish, those were the ones that stayed there and kind of just settled, versus the people that actually left and they came to this Indian, Native American bloodbath of a country. Those were like extra tough bastards. Those were the ones
Yep.
that came over here and reproduced monsters like you and probably everyone in this comment section. Is so many of these people, they get lost in this world that, like, we're supposed to get tied up into our feelings and fair and all this. Dude, I got news for you. We are like a minute away from going back to what made us the best of the best. I mean, dude, if you came to America and you were able to raise a family here to 1 to 2 generations, dude, you fought for it. You were tough. I mean, like, you were, they were doing it right. I mean, I say that. It's pretty wild. Not many people think about that.
Well, and it's crazy too. I got a challenge for every fella in here. If you've got grandparents, or depending on your age, parents that are still alive, like my granddad, he remembers. He could tell me all about the Great Depression. He's that old. Spend some time talking to them, because they're not going to be around forever. And let's be
No.
honest, they're all getting pretty long in the tooth. And absorb
Yep.
as much information and knowledge as you can, because the interwebs, great example, AI summary, wrong 90% of the time.
Yep.
The good factual information, the good old timey knowledge, that the hive mind mentality of this is what works, so this is what makes it through time, that's gone.
Yeah.
Now whatever's popular and gets clicks, that's what goes to your screen. So talk to the old farts, talk to your grandparents, great grandparents, if you got them still. People who've actually lived life outside of technology and plush comforts of modern age. I love talking to old farts. It's a good
Yep.
time.
Yep. I think that's where I really spent a whole lot of the majority of my last. I'm I'm old enough now. My parents are old enough. My grandparents have all passed, but I spent so much time with my great or grandparents and family history. Luckily, we're all farmers. We all grew up both sides, so both sides of my family was here on this very very large homestead. So the history was there, and I imagine most of the people even watching this, they have someone in their family that could tell you a lot more about surviving than any YouTube channel. Yeah, I mean, there's stories that are just pretty crazy. I watched this thing, and I want to send it to you, but it was done in the I want to say it was done in the 90s, and I think like PBS done it, but I'm going to find it. And they documented this guy, and he lived somewhere in Alaska, and the his family had like settled there, and he was like the last one, him and his wife, and they had one kid, and the government actually paid him to stay there and trap and hunt and honestly just like be alone. And they had 2 houses. They had a house in the winter and the house in the summer, but the husband would have to leave and go to this house in the winter to upkeep it and hunt and trap, because that's how they sold the trapping fur to the government and chopped wood and all this shit to survive. But anyways, they had like a child, and it drowned. They were in a kayak and they were going through, and the child died. And I was just thinking, like, this was in the 90s, and they had no family. It was just the husband, the wife, and they lost this kid. And I'm like, dude, that's how like everyone was 100 years ago. Like there wasn't no outside help. You didn't have an ambulance service. You didn't have a search and rescue team there. And I'm just like, it's about a 50-minute documentary, and it's on TubeView here. And I'm going to send it to you, because it's unreal. And it really puts in perspective for the young man that's wondering what it would be like, kind of filmed in the 90s, but given a glimpse to what our greats went through. And it's a fantastic little documentary.
Hey, Fox, it sounds like you know what your next community post is going to be. Maybe a link to that. Yeah.
Hey, that's a good one. That's a good one. It's a damn good one. I like that.
Well, I have damn good ones every once in a while.
Yes, you do. And if they
Well,
have
how
cool
late
stuff.
are you there? Are we humming along? Do we want to go more? Is your channel your call? But I may have to call it here soon myself.
Yeah, I say we give it 10 minutes. That'll put me right at midnight, and I'm gonna go be a gremlin and eat and turn into another gremlin.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same.
But
I had a small little plate of Skitties before I got on the stream. I didn't eat very much because I
oh yeah,
frankly hadn't got my appetite up yet. But for whatever reason, talking gets me hungry.
it does
Burning
meet. I think
calories with my jaw.
yeah, that's what we're doing. But if anybody has any questions, ask a few. We'll talk about Yukon here, everything Yukon. Maybe Shed Owl or one of the moderators here could post a channel link. Go follow him. Good friend. Overton Windex is in here. Uh, Man, great guys, great information, good people. We're all pretty well easy to get in touch with. Everything Yuckin probably has his email on there. So if you have any questions for him, my email's on there as well. Feel free to reach out to either one of us. Thank
Yeah,
you,
just please
JC.
don't send me a friggin' book about why you think I'm wrong about my sling or something,
Ah,
because I'm
dude, no
not going to
one.
read it.
Yeah, no. They should know better. They should know better. What's up, VMAX 40? Absolutely. Ham's beer is usually a beer of choice around here because it's cheap. But yeah, thanks for being here, bro. Do you have anything you'd like to tell anybody on your way out? Any any
Me?
closing? Yeah.
Oh, just don't do anything I wouldn't do naked on a bicycle, delivering a fridge to your grandma's house or something. Don't do that. But in all seriousness, all bullshit aside, out of all the tactical gear, all the bullshit you got, all your buddies that go out LARPing or whatever else, your most valuable asset that's super easy to overlook is your better half and your family. That your family, not your parents, not your siblings, your family. Not only are they an asset, they're your most prized possession. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about all the tactical and all the preps and all the stuff. Think about what the real goal is. It shouldn't be that you survive. It's that they survive and they prosper and they do well. And that's all throughout life. That's not just a fantasy land of zombies and lizard people.
Mhm.
That's my closing. There you go.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I'll do a little closing as well on my thoughts on, since we talked about gear. I'm going to kind of piggyback on what Yuckin said here is come up with a plan, come up with a budget. You don't have to buy every piece of a kit you see your favorite tube goober here wearing. Uh, Guys, go with practical. Instead of spending hundreds of dollars on a chest rig, you may be better off spending hundreds of dollars on extra magazines and ammo and things like that. So, or food, but pay your damn bills. Don't use a credit card to buy everything. Interest is gay. But yeah, take care of your family, take care of yourself, keep your finances in line before you start buying all this tactical shit. I'm a cowboy, baby. Let's see. Sean said he lives on a homestead. Looks like they were doing it right. So yeah, that's really the goal. I think America should be directed more towards some self-efficient stuff. Um, that's how it should be. But yeah, guys, thank you all for being here. Thank you for everything Yukon, everything Yuckin. Good talk, bro. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we'll have to get together more often and do these streams just BS and hopefully next time. No, I got a plan better. I got to get a fire going and get that little crackle in the background, really set the mood right. Get that 80s
Yeah.
sexy music going, and you and I can just sit here and just stroke each other's beards. It'll be great.
Oh, that'll be awesome. And well, and we've got to kind of we need to kind of get our little rivalry South versus North shorts going here. We kind of got to get our
Yes.
we gotta those that get to watch this they'll kind of be able to say, I seen that coming. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold you to it. Hold me to it.
Yeah, we got to
But
get those going for sure.
that's right. Well, thanks everybody for being here. Cheers. Thanks all. Thanks to all the moderators. Everybody have a good night.
Peace out, fellas. Don't have too much fun.
See you, brother.